Welcome to the campaign presentation of Wearing a Mask Properly Reduces Risk. My name's Patrick Ryan. I'm here with Rob Frazier, and we're just going to jump right into it.
All right, so this is not letting me. Okay. Oh, we just got to click. Okay, there we go. Sorry about that. Okay, so here is the data collection questions that we considered when we decided to, or when we did this research. Is one gender more likely to take risks over the other? Does one's current state of mind affect the level of risk one takes? Does who you are with increase or decrease your risk level? Does one's age impact the level of risk one is willing to take? And why does a person take risks?
During our research, we looked at the different segments identified. So through our data collection, we looked at behavioral, geographic, and demographic segments. We looked at who are the people and how are they comparing between every day, like how they're crossing the street and how it correlates to wearing a mask properly. So we divided those up in between different risk levels, depending on whether like people are with someone or not. There's a lot of factors that go in. So we looked at some of those, and then we have a chart here on our next slide.
You want me to go to the next slide?
Yeah.
Okay. So here's
that we also have checked out.
Yeah, and this is all the research that we did while watching people cross the street. So
yeah,
go ahead and go to the next slide. Give you some time to look at that over. And there we go. And here is our data collection. We'll go ahead and start with Patrick. Patrick, you go ahead.
Yep. So the street crossing data collection revealed some interesting information. How does crossing the street provide a perception into who these people are? So we looked at only 3 of the 10 observed stood at the curb to cross. Only 1 communicated with a driver before walking in front of them. Half who took risks were with another person. 4, 3 male, 1 female were distracted with technology at the time of crossing. Only 4 actually looked at the traffic before crossing. And then Rob also did some data that he's going to have his input on.
Yep. So when I watched people, I was in a pretty busy area. So I saw about 25 people cross the street in the time I was there. It was about 15 males and 10 females. 15 of them used a crosswalk. So they were, causing the least amount of risk to themselves by using the crosswalk. 8 crossed the street without using a crosswalk, but checked for oncoming traffic. So while they, still did a good job of checking for oncoming traffic, they didn't really use a crosswalk, which is obviously against the law. And then 2 people crossed without using a crosswalk or checking for oncoming traffic. And that was the most risk. So basically, one of them actually made 2 different cars stop for them in order to cross the street. So I thought that was interesting.
A little closing thought on that is, if a person crosses the street dangerously, would they be more prone to wearing a mask improperly? A little crossover thought as we go into the next slide.
Yeah. Ready? All right, here we go.
And then, so introducing the campaign. Are people who take unnecessary risks when crossing the street more prone to not wearing a mask properly? If the crowd you're with is not wearing a mask correctly, do you do the same? How are people influenced to do the right thing? Our goal is to encourage everyone to wear masks correctly and explain the risks associated with not wearing a mask properly. So we're doing that by correlating that to the street crossing.
Yep, and hopefully we did that by including some cool visual elements that that'll help people understand, and we'll get to that later in the thing. I think hopefully right now, maybe. Yep, here we go. So here's our first video that we did. It is just a nice, lighthearted video on encouraging people to wear masks.
Mhm.
Patrick,
It
you have something
reflects
to say?
it reflects on the different scenarios that display a variety level of risks people might take, correlating risks and mask wearing.
Mhm.
So we're all ready to check it out.
Play that right now. All right. So any closing thoughts you have on that, Patrick?
I think it's just nice to see how the video can talk about different examples that people are able to understand. And I think it's a video that will help push our idea and our campaign further.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's since like the lighthearted nature of it will be like really well will help people like view it without having any sort of opinion on it, without
Mhm.
being upset about it or anything like that. So I
Yep.
think it should be a good video for our campaign. All
Yep.
right, so for the next slide. Whoops. There we go. Okay. So here is a flyer that we did as well, kind of just displaying how it is or how you should wear a mask, the right and wrong way. All these ways, except for the two, are incorrect. People who feel they are invincible will take unnecessary risks. And how many people do you see every day taking risks by not wearing a mask correctly or not wearing one at all? I know personally, I see hundreds. I feel like every
Countless.
day it seems like there's always people who either are just not wearing their mask or they're wearing it incorrectly. So hopefully this poster will be kind of a tool to educate some people who aren't sure.
Mhm.
And then, do you feel invincible? Some people really do, honestly. Some people
Yeah.
feel invincible, and that's part of the reason why they don't want to wear a mask. So yeah, anything you wanted to add, Patrick? Or okay,
Nope, that was perfect.
perfect. Next slide.
So in this slide, we're going to jump into talking about the different types of masks. On the screen here, we have an N95 on the far left, and then K95, surgical, and cloth. So there are several different types of masks. One might even have mask confusion and understanding one's risks. Disposable masks should be thrown away after just one use, according to the CDC. Regardless of type of mask worn, everybody should wear it right. Single use is recommended regardless of type of mask used. Um, Out of the four type of masks shown, a cloth offers the greatest risk of infection or minimal protection. How many people do you see wearing a cloth mask? I personally see the most common.
Yeah, I would think cloth is probably the most common. That or the surgical, the disposable ones
Hmm.
seem to be the most common ones.
Yep.
All right. See, next slide here. So here's a little video on how to wear an N95 mask correctly. We're not going to spend too much time on our presentation showing this video. So if you'd like to get it, we should be listed in our references and to access it in our reference sheet. So
Yep.
go ahead, just go ahead and skip through that. So this is the risk reduction with mask. The N95 is the gold standard, highest level of protection, high level of risk reduction, strict pressure drops require fit testing, and it's a 95% risk reduction. The KN95 is not fit test required or is not fit test required. So it's supported by the NOISH. It has a high level of risk reduction and several varieties to choose from. This also has a 95% risk reduction. Surgical is made of different thickness, moderate risk reduction, and blocks large particles and splashes with only a 38.5% risk reduction. So a huge drop off from the two better forms of mask. And then you have the cloth, which is usually not cleaned correctly and has a low level of protection with low level of risk reduction and only a 26.5% risk reduction. So even a big drop off there from the surgical mask, about a 12% drop off. So anything you'd like to add, Patrick?
Nope.
Okay, perfect. Go on to the next one.
So we're gonna talk about how to wear a mask correctly. A mask should have at least a minimum of 2 layers. It should completely cover your mouth and nose. It should also fit snugly against the sides of your face, leaving no gaps or little holes for stuff to sneak in. You don't want to pull the mask too low on your nose or below your nose or below your mouth or chin. You got to make sure. There's a lot of things you have to check and make sure. It is suggested that you wash your hands before and after touching the mask. Touch only the bands or ties when putting on and taking off your mask. Make sure the mask fits and covers your nose. The biggest thing that we see a lot of people not doing is washing reusable masks. That's probably the biggest thing that leads to a lot of cross-contamination stuff, and it can snowball into a lot worse of things. But it's just stuff we have to be careful of, even in times like these.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. So, I mean, if you are going to use that low risk protection of using a cloth mask or something, you got to make sure you at least wash it regularly. So that way you're at least getting that little bit of risk reduction from it. So,
Yeah.
All right, the next slide. So here's another video on how to wear a mask correctly. Again, we got this off YouTube. This is a pretty great video to help some people who need to know how to wear it correctly. For like example, as you can see here, it has it just under the nose. I know a lot of people, especially when the pandemic first started, would always have it under the nose because they didn't understand the need to keep it over the nose. So we think this will be a good video as well, but we'll go ahead and skip past it because it's not one of our visual aid elements.
Hey everyone, it's Sarah.
It is in our references though, if you would like to take a look at that. Risk is your choice. The amount of risk you take is your personal choice. Type of mask you wear is your personal choice. It's a bad choice to wear your mask wrong. Wear it right for all of us. Just kind of a little slogan to have for our campaign. To try to encourage people to make sure that they are wearing masks correctly. All right. And here's our reference sheet. So you can see the couple YouTube video links down here, and then the other information that we collected or used to collect information.
Yeah, just some finishing thoughts. We thought it was really easy to connect how crossing a street, all those slight risks, can also really easily correlate to wearing a mask and taking all those slight risks. There's a plethora of things that could happen in both scenarios. So we hope that through our campaign that we're able to help bring to light some of the situations that we're faced with the time it is in the pandemic that we have. But finishing everything up, we just want to say thank you guys from Group 6, and we hope you guys enjoyed.
Yep. Thank you very much.